Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 10th episode of the DLF podcast, Dreams, Love, Faith by Sierra Janelle. If you are new, my name is Sierra Reynolds. I'm the host, creator, and founder of the Dreams, Love, Faith brand and podcast. This episode is called Beautifully and Wonderfully Made, featuring two special guests, Madison and Robynn Harrison.
Hey, y'all.
So in this episode, we're going to be talking about, just what it really means to empower, other women. And this is a 3-part series. So this is the last part. If you have not already listened to the first 2 parts, go back, listen to it, and then catch up with this one. So ladies, how are we doing today?
Doing good. We're warm.
Very warm. Very warm. It's November, and we're trying to stay cool, but then it's getting hot outside.
Yeah.
Madison, how are you?
I'm doing well. Just glad to be here. Super grateful.
Thank you both so much for being guests on the podcast. This just an introduction of who you are to the people. We'll start with you, Madison. Who you are. Who is Madison Robynn?
I am a sophomore liberal studies pre-law student here at the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. I am an aspiring judge. I am also on the register. I'm an RA, but ultimately I am a woman of God, and I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
Amen. You love to you love to hear it.
Yes, sir.
And Robynn Harrison.
Okay, as she said, I'm Robynn Harrison. I am a transfer student from Clark Atlanta University. I transferred to A&T in 2020. I'm currently a senior now, hopefully graduating in the spring, y'all.
We'll be graduating in the spring.
Keep me in your prayers. But no, I am from the beautiful state of California. And as you can tell, I've been bouncing around since. But yeah, we'll get a little bit more into Robynn as we progress through the podcast.
Yes, thank you both so much for those wonderful introductions. So basically what it means to be beautifully and wonderfully made, I think we pretty much hear it all the time, of just, walking by faith and not by fear, and being confident in who you are. And just how is that important to you, like when you hear beautifully and wonderfully made, and just any like personal connections towards that?
Well, you want to go ahead? Yeah. Well, I would definitely say when I think of myself being beautifully and wonderfully made, I like to hone in on the fact of myself being an intentional woman. When you live by intent. And I love that about myself, because no decision that I make, no direction I turn, no path that I take is just done aimlessly.
Right.
Like everything has intent behind it, whether it's God leading me in that direction, whether maybe my gut is leading me in that direction, or maybe just, whatever's going on in my life. And I actually give it thought, but it's not just me moving aimlessly. So
Right.
I would definitely say that that's one aspect of me being beautifully and wonderfully made.
Right, and I love that you said, with intention. I think most of the decisions that we do make in life do have intention and meaning behind it. Like there's a reason behind when we do things.
Mm-hmm.
But then also being content with anything that God has in store for us.
Right.
And just understanding that, His plans for us, even if we might not understand it, that's the way that we have to go. And just, trying to follow that path. But definitely having intentions behind doing things, and even the conversations that you have with people too.
Right.
Just knowing who you can talk to and knowing who you can connect with.
Right.
So intention is a big thing, and I love that you said that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think intention is a really big part of it, and just also knowing who you are.
Right.
When you know who you are, you can go anywhere.
Right.
You can say the most, or you can not say anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
And people will know that you're there.
Right.
Knowing who you are, being bold in who you are, knowing that you were made in the image of God is very important to know and to walk with. People can tell when you're shy, when you're bold.
Mm-hmm.
People can tell when you have confidence in yourself. People can tell when you may not have confidence in yourself. So it's definitely important to be intentional, to be aware of who you are and whose you are. My mom always says that. So.
And even sometimes like when they say, you have an aroma when you walk into the room, or you have a presence when you walk into the room. It's true. It really is.
Yeah.
Like Madison was saying, like when you walk into a room, people can already feel how you're feeling, whether that's, you know, because you have a smile on your face, or whether that's, you know, you're droopy and feeling sad. When you walk into a room, that aroma that you bring will set the tone for whatever you're walking into.
Right.
So purposefully walking into anything that's going on, I guess, and anything that's happening. And also, you know, when we're talking about, you know, intention and talking about, you know, knowing who you are, what is some of the impact that you know, intend to make, an impact that you're already making?
Well, if we're gonna go into, I guess, the whole impact we're already making, I am the founder of a community outreach group named the Action Project. Basically, I founded that when I was at Clark Atlanta University, and then have transitioned us into Greensboro, North Carolina. But basically, the organization focuses on bridging the gap between elementary students and college students through different initiatives and programs that kind of help to shape our young leaders of our future. Basically, we will do different initiatives and programs in elementary schools, such as like etiquette courses for the young ladies, teaching them about self-care and loving themselves, just proper hygiene, different things like that, teaching the young men poetry, just different educational advancement courses, just different stuff like that, and bridging the kind of the division that college students and the younger generation have. Because honestly, and it's sad to hear, because so many of them will tell you that they don't even know if they want to go to college. They don't even have anyone in their family that went to college. So just bridging that gap. So to kind of bring it around full circle, basically that's the kind of impact that's really I feel like my purpose here is what God sent me here to do. So I founded that organization from him basically giving me that. So yeah.
Wow.
Great. I think impact is an important thing, especially when it comes to being women of God, and making sure that people know it on a daily basis. So I'll just sort of start off small and escalate from there. For me, just knowing that, letting people know that they're loved and that they're appreciated, whether it's just smiling at them, whether it's just acknowledging them, just sort of giving them that grace to just be. Sometimes some people feel like they have to put on a mask every day, you know, just sort of be somebody else to fit into a certain space. So I try to approach people and just, you know, hey, what's going on? You know, just genuinely. And I know for me that does a lot, just for me to say, oh, okay, I can just relax, you know, rather than have to feel like I have to be somebody in order to speak to you. So that's one thing that I really try to do on a daily basis, and I also have to give myself grace with that, because I'm a human too.
And you have feelings.
Another thing that I do as an impact is being an RA. I think that's a big thing that's overlooked sometimes, just because like, oh, you're RA, okay, cool. It's just like, oh, but let me tell you. Yeah, doing that, just being able to serve other people. One thing that my mom told me, that she said, Maddie, being an RA is one of the biggest jobs you're ever going to do. I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, I want to be a judge. What are you talking about? She's like, no, being able to serve people is something that is very, very important. It's not that you are an RA, but you get to be an RA. You get to serve people. You get to help somebody. We have a lot of cases that deal with Title IX, with domestic violence, things like that. And just to know that you're that person they call to help, to say, hey, I need UPD, or I'm scared to call UPD, I'm scared to ask for help. Being that person to actually do that, and being able to sort of speak for them in those situations are very impactful. But I guess going towards the judge thing also, I did join the A&T register this year, which I'm super excited about. I did it really because it gets you in the habit of writing. Just because at first I was like, the register, my mentor, she was a journalism student, so she was like, join the paper. I was like, I don't know. But I just got into it. I just write about really anything. And it sort of helps me to just kind of decompact. Sometimes I'm writing papers about class and just writing papers about something else. It helps me to sort of just get away from it, but still practice that skill.
Right. So you don't lose it too.
Right. So you don't lose it. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I really, really appreciate it. I'm also an Aggie Toastmasters, public speaking organization, and sort of just honing in on those skills for law school because it's very, very important to me.
I love that. I love how you're like. So first of all, both of y'all, just you can tell I'm from North Carolina, y'all. Anyway, but just both of y'all, you know how you are making an impact and you're aware of the impact that you're making, because that's something that most people may not even realize. And like you said, like just to start off by saying hi to someone, you never know how it can impact them or just make a difference in their day.
Right.
But also with being an RA, as your mom was saying. Like that's one of your biggest jobs that you're gonna get, because that's important to serve other people, but also, being aware of those feelings that you have and being aware that, okay, I maybe need a break or I maybe need time to myself. And then also with the project, with the action project, knowing like the gap that's between elementary and college students, that's true, because, sometimes in, different households or different situations, they might be a first generation themselves, and they might not have that hope or that encouragement from other people that's not in their family of saying you can do this if you want to, you know. So I think that's so important, because that you're bridging that gap, you're fixing that gap. That's awesome. And I think even for me, just like with the podcast and like the brand of Dreams of Faith, like it's growing and I'm working on it, but I'm realizing the impact that it's making on other people. Just like with the amount of like questions or even like swipe ups on stories or anything that I'm getting or feedback, it's like, man, like you really, that hour, it's important. Or like I really do listen in, and it changed my whole perspective on just the way I move in school, the way I talk to people, treat people. Very awesome. And I wasn't expecting, and I never do anything for congratulations or thank you or anything. It was genuinely how I wanted to inspire and encourage other people. And just to get that feedback of, hey, like you really made my day, or you said this and this really touched me. It's like, man, I can really like,
planting seeds, and that's all you need to do.
Exactly. Because you never know. You never know. You never know. So I love that we're aware of the impact that we're making, and then continuing to make. We don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now of our plan, or 10 years from now of where our impact and our leadership is going to take us. So I think it's important that we're in the moment now of walking by faith, and in the moment now of leading, overall leading. So talking more about your future. Let's start. You're a senior. So talking more about your future. You want to be a future neurology PA. Yes. If you want to talk more about that and just like the road that you're on.
Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am a biology student. I am currently, not a lot of people know, but I'm currently taking an EKG tech course. So I'm doing that, right, y'all. It is vigorous. It is vigorous, but I am managing. I drive an hour away every Saturday morning, and my class is 4 hours long. But I like it. So it is completely different from neurology, but at the end of the day, it's hands-on patient care, and that's what I want to go into. So, but the reason I am doing the EKG thing now is because to get to PA, you have to have patient care experience hours. If anybody wants to be one, you can't just go right out of college. And like me, I'm a first generation student, so I don't really know too much about the paths to take. So after doing research, I realized that I had to get patient care experience hours, and it has to be hands-on. So I'm doing the EKG now to get certified. I'll work as an EKG tech post-graduation, and then basically that's just going to help me become a more competitive candidate for my PA program. My number one choice is Emory, but I'm open. I am open. If that doesn't work out, I'm open to God's plan for my life. And then once I am an official physician assistant, that's when I will go ahead and subspecialize in neurology.
Got it. And yeah, that's awesome that you know, I mean, like you said, you didn't initially know the plan that you need to take or the steps, but now that you do, you're working towards it, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's an hour drive, and then it's a 4-hour day.
Yeah, it's on Saturday, every Saturday morning.
Wow. How early?
I leave, it's in Raleigh, so
Okay.
I leave here at about 7 or 8, and then I end up getting back here at like 4 p.m.
That's dedication.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Wow.
It is a lot, but I mean, when you're trying to get to the goal, it doesn't, the road there, it's greater. So
yeah.
It's all right. I'll manage.
Right. And then Madison, you are a sophomore. So the road, and what have you done so far in regards to being a future judge?
So last semester, I guess, well, last year really, I had my sights set on interning with a judge. And I didn't have an advisor. I still sort of don't have an advisor, but that's another story. And I really want to do that just to make sure that that's what I want to do, because it's a very big commitment. And my supposed advisor, he was like, no, you can't intern with a judge. You can't do that. That's for juniors and seniors, because they take more advanced classes. I was like, okay, I understand, but I don't. You know what I mean? So I was like, this is what I want to do. So I was just going around everywhere asking my professors. I was like, hey, do you know any judges, any lawyers that I can speak to so that I can intern with them to see if this is what I want to do? And I was in the mini-calf one day.
Mini-calf is way better. Okay.
And so I was in there one day and I was reading, and for whatever reason, they wanted to group everybody up to fit more people in there. And I sat there, and some guy sat next to me, and he was just like, what's your major? I was like, pre-law, and he was like, a math major. So I was like, okay, I'm going to read my book, leave me alone. And he was like, oh, well, my mom, she's the Chief Justice of North Carolina. I was like,
wow.
And it was just so crazy. And I was like, wow. He was like, yeah, I can get her to have her intern and, do like a clerkship with you. I was like,
look at God.
No, really.
Because imagine if you just been like, all right, leave me alone.
Yes,
like,
go ahead, sir.
All right, math. Like,
Right, and that's where sort of like just the genuineness sort of comes from me too. Like just being able to say hi to someone. Because while I wasn't feeling it, something in me was just like, let me just talk to this person.
You never know, you might work.
Right, you just never know. So I was able to bridge a connection with her. I was not able to intern with her because she didn't win her re-election.
Okay.
However, I did have a professor who knew a judge in California.
Okay.
And my mom, she's like, I'm not letting you go to California by yourself. So we went out there for the summer. I clerked with him. I got to sit up there with him during like his proceedings, do all his memos for him. And he was a super he was a super nice guy. He gave us like tickets to the zoo in San Diego, all these different things. It was super, super amazing. And the honors program, they funded the whole thing.
Wow.
So yeah, I was super appreciative of that. And the biggest thing I've learned from that is that you have to go after the things that you want. Just like traveling every single weekend, that's a commitment.
You're going after what you want.
Going after what you want, especially if it has the impact to help other people, especially people coming behind you. Because for me, I don't know anyone who wants to be a judge.
Right.
I don't know.
Me neither.
Yeah, she's the only one for you. You're the only one.
I don't. And a lot of times I get told, "Oh, you sure you want to do that much school? You sure you want to?" It's like, I don't know, but I have faith that I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
And vision is super important for me. What I say, my mom, she's really sort of ingrained that in me. Not saying things like, "Don't say can't," "Don't say that you might," or "you doubt it." No, you can. You have to work towards it, and if things don't work out the way that you imagine, it doesn't mean it's not going to work.
Right.
It's just going to work out in a different way.
Right.
So that's a big thing that is for me. I'm really big on words, really big on vision. I make a vision board every single year.
Me too.
And just with words on it, with pictures, just with different things of what I want in life.
Yeah.
The goal. Also, sort of just to get back, Another thing, I've started studying for the LSAT. That's a big thing that I do every weekend. Going to the library, me and Khan Academy.
You're right. A little bit of study time.
Yes, and just doing a little bit, because they say you're supposed to prepare the summer of your junior year, but I think that's too late.
I think it's a little,
yeah.
I think it's a little, depending on what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like summer or junior year, you're already in your junior year, basically. I mean, but I can see it, yeah.
Yeah, just because I want to be ahead. I want to get a 180, which is the perfect score on there, so you can go anywhere, really. So I'm really adamant about that, just preparing my skills for that, just public speaking with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man, dedication and hard work, determination. It's real. And the fact that you said you made a vision board every year. So instead of like New Year's resolutions, my family and I, we make vision boards. And one year I took it too literal. And they say like if you see yourself doing it, it's more likely to happen. Like if you actually visually see it. So I cut out pictures of my face and put it on.
Oh my gosh.
And I put on everything in my vision board. And I completed everything in my vision board except for 2 things that year. Yeah, and the 2 things were my car. And the second thing was meeting Michael B. Jordan, but that was a stretch. That was a stretch.
Yes.
But no, every single thing I completed. And A&T was one of them. Thank you. And A&T was one of them. Because I was actually supposed to be going to USC in California.
Oh, wow.
It was between USC here and USC Xavier, Louisiana, and here. And everything that all the schools I got accepted to, A&T had. And I believe, you know, like I said, like God has the plan for you.
Right.
You just have to trust it. So I said, okay, Lord, like I'm gonna trust you, you know. But you know, everything happens for a reason, and it's crazy because this past summer I went to California for my birthday. And I met someone, first of all, he had a USC sweatshirt on. It was hot. Why do you have a sweatshirt on?
That's how they dress, y'all.
No, actually, I was
we don't
surprised
know.
with the sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Man, and I'm burning up, and he had a sweatshirt on. But USC, so I took the opportunity to ask him how he liked it. And he was a junior, and he was from Texas. First of all, that's a long way to go. Texas to California. But he actually told me that he completely hated it. And I asked him, you know, why did you not like it? And the 2 main things for him was, one, the distance, and I can understand that. And the second thing, he felt like it just wasn't the place for him. He felt like it was too like studious, I guess, too studious. But everyone's story is different. But I don't know, I just took it as a sign. And because, you know, like everything does happen for a reason. And literally after the first week of coming here to A&T, I called my mom and I was like, I'm so glad I made the decision. Like there would have been no other or better decision. Is there a glare? Okay, there we go. No better decision at all. So yeah, everything happens for a reason, and determination and just the drive of getting to your goals and getting to your dreams. And that's why, you know, even the title of the whole podcast, Dreams of Faith, is about loving without limits and living without limits and knowing that you don't have any reservations with your goals or your dreams. Like you can you can do whatever you put your mind to. So I think that's so important, and that, you know, you both are examples of that, living examples of that. And if we could just talk about, you know, the importance of being faith-driven. So I guess not doubting yourself in these times where, you know, okay, I'm getting close to what I want to do. I'm very close to what I want to do. But just, you know, being faith-driven, and any time you've had a doubt maybe, what did you do to really overcome that?
Well, if I give you guys, I'll give you guys a little bit of a testimony, I guess, of how I got to A&T. So as I said before, I was at Clark Atlanta University, and I can tell you just kind of being vulnerable, open, and transparent. I was not doing very well there. When I was a freshman, you know, I traveled all the way from California. I was there by myself, first generation college student, didn't really know what to expect. Honestly, I really didn't. But my freshman year, the first semester, I got a 3.8. Now, and I majored in biology, so I was like, oh my gosh, I got a 3.8. Everyone told me it was going to be so hard, but I'm proving everybody wrong. And then second semester came, and I got a 2.0. And I was like, what the heck?
Wow.
Like, what happened? And I mean, I was very, very distracted. I was in a new city, trying to make new friends, trying to fit in, trying to figure out who I was. And a lot of people who knew me before I even moved to Atlanta I was, that girl who was bringing everybody to church all the time. I was the one on the cheer team. Every time we went out into the middle of the field to do our performance, it was, Robynn, come say our prayer every single game. I was that person. We had community prayer circles in high school. I was the one leading them. Like, I was that person. And when I got to college and trying to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be, who I wanted to keep myself around, the loneliness makes you do things that that was never really you.
Right.
And so I started hanging out with people that I never hung out before. I stopped talking to God. I stopped journaling. I stopped doing a lot of things that Robynn used to do.
Right.
And so sophomore year comes around and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna change the narrative. I don't know what's going on with me. But like, I went full blown right back into how I was already. And then COVID happened. And I was like, you know what? I don't even know if I want to be at Clark anymore. And I always felt that way when the whole time I was there. I was like, I don't think this is the place for me. But it's like, where else would I go? And it's crazy because when I was a freshman, and my freshman roommate that I had, she actually came to A&T here with me.
Oh, wow.
And she brings this up all the time. She's like, you used to say all the time that you're gonna leave Clark and you're gonna go to A&T. And I'm like, I don't remember ever saying that. She's like, you used to say it all the time. And I'm like, well, maybe. And she had brought that up sophomore year. So I started looking back into A&T again. And then just kind of looking at, their curriculum. I started DMing a bunch of different students and whatnot. So then I was like, okay, let me just apply, see what happens. And mind you, when I was at Clark, a lot of people don't know, but Clark is super expensive. Clark is very expensive. Tuition was almost $40,000 every year. And that was like, you had to pay out of pocket or take out a loan. And I had no scholarships, none. And so my mom was struggling to pay. I was struggling to pay. It was just a lot to stay there. So then I was like, okay, whatever, I'll take a chance and I'll transfer to A&T in the middle of the pandemic. And so then I'm like, God, but if this is for me, please, show me.
Yeah.
And
before I just leave.
Right. And, God, and me and God, our relationship, it's not like he's just gonna kind of show me. Like, I'm like, Lord, you're gonna show me. I need it to be clear, concise, all of that, because I just need to know. So I ended up making the decision I was going to apply. I ended up finding out that I got accepted into A&T, and then after that, everything just started to roll into place on its own. And it was like God was just like, stop worrying. If this is where I want you to be, you will be there. And I can tell you guys, testimonial-wise, I have gotten so many scholarships. I have gotten over, probably, I would say over $50,000 in scholarships in the last year and a half.
Wow.
And I have never gotten a scholarship before. I had never even felt like I was confident enough to apply for something like that. Both years at A&T completely paid off. Paid for. Didn't have to pay.
That's great. We love free money.
And
we really do.
Right. And so it was like that for me was just God saying, like, if you take that step, you don't have to worry.
Right.
Like, I know it looks big. I know this is a new city. I know you've never even been to North Carolina.
Right.
But take this step. I got your back, and don't worry.
Right.
And you lay it at his feet, you let him take care of it, and you just watch everything else unfold.
Oh my God. The way I'm getting chills.
Y'all, I get chills thinking about it all the time. It will, I literally will want to just break down and cry thinking about it, but it's real. It's real.
And it's crazy. So I guess I got not necessarily a similar story, but because obviously I didn't transfer, I'm a freshman. But coming to making my decision, so I was always the type that was a president of every club. I was senior class president of all the other clubs. So I was president of every club and always at the forefront, always the one doing the leadership things, and then also being a youth worship leader as well. That took a lot of my time. It did, for sure. But I was always the one that had that expectation. Well, people had the expectation of Sierra's gonna do it. Sierra's got it. She's good. She's fine. Yeah. And genuinely, I was fine. I was okay. I was good. But what if I'm not sometimes? And I never had a moment where mental health was a problem. I never had a moment where I was concerned about am I in the right mental space to do it? Mm-hmm. I didn't know the importance of self-love and self awareness, like self-peace. I didn't know the importance of that until I got here to like A&T at the end of my senior year. So senior year's going by, and you know, clubs are happening, everything's going on, and then it comes to around March. I have to write a speech for graduation. And I tell you, that, and I had to apply for scholarships for the church, actually. Had to apply for those. Didn't want to do it. I was in bed because we were virtual because of COVID, and I was in bed not wanting to go to practice, not wanting to write anything, fill out anything. I couldn't even get up at all for like 2 weeks straight. And I never knew why. I never knew what was going on. I never felt like I was sad, I guess, or none of that. And I guess it was kind of maybe a sense of being scared a little bit, like, all right, I don't know what's next, because that's kind of like a fear of like not knowing the unexpected, like not knowing what's going to happen. And then I don't know, like my mom just came in and she was like, all right, you gotta get it together, you gotta do something, make something shake. And I finally got up, I guess, and just filled everything out, got everything done, and I was awarded the most scholarships out of the Park Church history. I was awarded. That's a big deal. It is, and especially because that's been going for years at our church. We went to the same church. So yes, I was awarded the most scholarships in the Park Church history. And you know, one thing my mom was telling me, she was like, you know, you've worked so hard for years. Like I was a part of the choir since I was 4, and then I became a youth worship leader and praise team and all that at 10. That's young for someone to do it. And it wasn't by force, it wasn't by, oh yeah, you're going to do it. It was something that I genuinely wanted to do in that relationship that I had with God that was continuously growing. But she was like, you worked so hard for all these years for you to just sit and let it go to waste. And I literally told her, I was like, Mom, I don't want to do it. I genuinely don't want to. But the outcome of doing it, I got it in like 10 minutes before. Had to drive across town, got it in 10 minutes before. And I submitted it. I said, whatever happens, happens. And that's what it was. And then got my speech done for graduation. Got accepted to all the schools I applied for. Just everything started to align. So I really understood of what you were saying about, you know, if that's the plan that God has for you, like it might seem scary. It might feel like, okay, I don't really know what's gonna happen, but He's gonna say, I got you. Like, don't worry. And I got a full ride here to A&T, so it's, you know, that's I got a full ride here to A&T, and I think that was one of my biggest concerns. It was, you know, how am I? Okay, yeah, I have the grades and I have, you know, the accolades and things like that, but will I genuinely be able to go to a college and really grow into the career field that I want to go into and grow into the person that I'm supposed to become? Because, you know, they tell you like college is going to be like the best years of your life, all this type of stuff. But God said, I got you. Don't worry. I wasn't in Barbie, thank God. But, you know, he genuinely was like, I got you. And I don't want you to worry about anything. And everything is paid for. And then all those scholarships came right back to me because I got a full ride. So you see how it's like, okay, I got you, you know, you're not worrying at all. All I have to do is be aware and, you know, and be still and, you know, save, I guess, you know, not spend it, you know, but he really was like, I got you, no matter what decision you make. So I think it's crazy because, you know, sometimes when you have that doubt of, is this for me or am I doing the right thing? He's like, all right, don't even worry, don't even fret, because if you just put your best foot forward, I'm going to cover the rest. So I think that's something that really happened, and I can relate to in that way of, you know, feeling some type of doubt, and then him being like, no, don't worry, don't worry at all. So yeah, just, you know, the faith-driven part, and anytime you felt doubt, and how you overcame it.
I feel like I go through that every day. I think that's one misconception people get about believers is that we have unbelief.
Right.
Like, I'll be like, Lord, I don't know, like, I'm not believing this right now. And that's where your meditation and your time with Him becomes really important. When you don't have that time or when you drift away, that's when your faith starts to crumble and your unbelief starts to sort of set in and say, oh, well, I don't know if we can do this, Maddie. No, we can do this. We can do this. And I guess one instance of doubt that I had was just with the internship with the judge. Like, it was May and I didn't have an internship.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, because engineering, you know, they're popping at our school.
They are.
So they're like, oh, I got my internship at Boeing, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So, so yeah, it was May, and I was like, I still don't have an internship. What am I gonna do this summer? My mom was just like, we're going to the beach, Matt. I'm like, I'm not worried about the beach right now.
Right, you want vacation. I'm trying to, yeah.
So I was still bugging about that, and he's like, Manny, I need you to relax, because I applied for so many internships. I can't even tell you how many I applied for.
Yeah.
But it was all because of the one professor who knew that judge, and she was like, it was the last day of class too. The last day of classes, I asked her, do you know a judge? She told me, and I had that connection with him. He made me write this, it's like some sort of writing piece, and I never wrote a piece like that before. And I had 2 days to write it. I was like, Lord, help me write this thing, because I don't know what I'm writing, but I'm gonna write it though.
Yeah.
So I wrote it, submitted it to him. He said, this is one of the best pieces I've ever gotten.
Wow.
And he had clerks, like juniors and seniors, and then 1Ls, 2Ls, 3Ls, write them, and he said mine was the best he's ever gotten. So I was just so like, Lord, I've never written anything like that.
Right.
So I was just like, you do you. If you want me to go to California, I'll go. And I saw a lot of really interesting things, because a lot of law there is around immigration and dealing with a lot of drugs and things like that.
Right.
So he allowed me to see a lot of that. Also, there's a really big homeless population in San Diego. He allowed me to see a lot of that, allowed me to help a lot of people there.
Yeah.
I had a couple relatives that I didn't know lived there, was able to make a connection with them also. So yeah, wherever the Lord takes you, go. You're not guaranteed to know what's going to happen,
Right.
or what you're going to do, what you're going to see, but he has you there for a reason.
Yeah, right. Everything's for a reason. And you brought up the homelessness. I noticed that when I visited, how there's a lot of homeless people just out on the streets. But you never know like where you can, make an impact, or what will open your eyes up to see like life in a different aspect and a different view, lens. But yeah, like wherever he wants us to go, we will go. And even if it is, 2 days before or 10 minutes before, or whatever, 2 years later, you know what I mean? But whatever your time frame is your time frame, because you never know, like someone else's path might be, fresh out of high school, went to college, got a job, boom, boom, boom. Yours might not be that exact same path, or it may.
Right.
So just following, what that path is supposed to be for your personal life, and not what everyone else is doing.
Right. And as far as, you said that you had to write that piece, and it was like, I've never done anything like this before, but it was the best one that he has ever written. Like, that kind of goes to show about the whole just, sometimes things will feel uncomfortable, or you'll feel uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't realize that you want to be uncomfortable. Like, if you're comfortable, that is bad, and you need to shift. Because that means you've made yourself too content with being where you are now, and that leaves no more room for growth.
Right.
So when you put yourself in places that are uncomfortable, or say maybe there's people out there who feel like, I feel like I don't hear from God, I don't feel like I know what my next step is. That voice in your head, or that feeling that you're feeling to do that next step, or go here, go there, if it feels uncomfortable, or it feels foreign, or it feels like, I don't think this came from me, it didn't. So you probably need to go ahead and take that step, because it didn't come from you. Because it's human nature to be afraid of something new. So if something new comes about, it feels uncomfortable, but it's good, it's positive, then that's probably the step in the direction that you should be going.
Right, and not having a fixed mindset, but having a growth mindset, wanting to not be in the same position you were, months ago, wanting to grow into your purpose and your plan, and into the person that you're supposed to be becoming. Because, even someone was telling me, it was a story someone was telling me about, when you're a baby, you need milk, for example, to like live and like to eat. And that's the substance that you need. But then once you get an adult, you can't live off of milk. Like, you know, you're gonna need food, you need more substance. So the substance of the Word of God being, you know, knowing the character of Him, you can't feed off of the knowledge that your parents might have given you when you were younger or something like that. You have to know Him for yourself. So even if you're trying to figure out, like, okay, like you were saying, like, is this from God? I don't really know. I don't really hear from Him. You have to go and try to seek it as well. Yeah, He will guide you, but you have to go and, you know, want to get closer to Him. And that relationship, we were saying earlier, having that relationship with Him, so you know your purpose and that substance that you need now to thrive and to live into the different areas and levels in your life. So yeah, definitely the different substances of your different stages in your life. So just growing up, did you have any experiences that shaped you into the young woman that you are today? I don't know if you all were, I mean, we played basketball together when we were younger. So I like got to see you like in that aspect. But just any experiences that shaped you to be as aware and maybe confident that you are now, or even if, you know, just who you are today, what experience shaped you to become the person that you are?
I'm glad you said basketball because
I know.
that reminded me of something. So at the part when we did play basketball, I felt like I was on a really high horse, or I put myself on a really
You were. No, she was. Please, no, we're not going to do that. She was. No. Yes, you led the team with great power.
How old are you guys?
We were like, like 9 or
Something telling me 9 or 10.
Yeah, 9 or 10.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And I was so cocky. Like now that I look back, I was super, super cocky.
I don't blame you. You can have the ball. I don't blame you.
At 9, yeah.
Yeah, I was super cocky. Like my dad, he used to hype me up so much. Like, so much. And you know, I love playing basketball. I don't play anymore, but
I need to get back into it.
Yeah, I play for fun, but
yeah.
Just was super cocky, and you know, my dad's like, okay, Maddie, you gotta like do the middle school team, you gotta do the high school team,
right?
You're gonna be my little hooper, you know. So, you know, I played it all through up till middle school until I went to middle school. I didn't make the middle school team. And so I was just so defeated. I was like, how? I'm the star on the church team. Like, what is that? Like, they should want me here. You know?
I deserve to be. You need me. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was just, you know, helped me to sort of be like, okay, Lord, what's going on? Like, are you trying to tell me something? Like, I know I'm good. No. So, you know, all through that time, didn't make it 7th or 8th grade. And it just helped me to realize I put all my confidence into basketball and nothing else, which is a problem because he was like, I don't need you to put your confidence in a game. I need you to put your confidence in me.
Right.
And that sort of helped me to have a reality check to say, you know what, I do need to have a more committed relationship with God. As you said, you know, you can't rely off of what your parents teach you to be your faith. You have to have that relationship with Him. So my middle school into freshman, sophomore year of high school is when I started to have a more concrete relationship with God. It was also a time where I just sort of trained a lot more and took basketball a lot more seriously. Every single day I put myself on a regiment to get on the treadmill. My dad, he would get up in the morning and be up, because I would always hear stuff in the garage. I'm like, what is going on?
Right.
Building a time machine? Like, I don't know.
Right.
So I would see him like, okay, I'm going to do that. He's like, okay, man, you know, if you're going to do it, you got to do it. I was like, I'm going to do it. So every day I just put myself in a regiment to run twice a day on the regiment. And this was like in middle school and into high school. And, you know, I just had a goal and I had a picture. And this was the first time I ever made like a vision board. It was on like a piece of regular notebook paper. And I just drew the jersey from Mountain Island Charter, because that's the high school I went to. And just said, you know, the number that I wanted. And every day that was right in front of the treadmill. And I would just run, just looking at that the whole time. I wouldn't run with any music, which was really weird because I run with music. So just
not to listen to your footsteps.
No, right.
She's listening to her footsteps.
Yes. But I was just so locked in. Like, it was just what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I got on the team, thankfully, on to Mountain Island Charter.
Right.
Yes. I was super, thank you. But it was still different. Like, I thought it was going to be, I've made it to now. I'm they want me here.
Yeah.
But it was still very challenging playing for the church and playing for school
Yes.
are two different things.
Two
Different
things.
Yes. Bigger girls, more muscular girls on the team.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing, and it helped me to very aggressive. But yeah, it helped me to really humble myself to say, okay, Maddie, you got your little skills, but you're not all that. You know? And that's one thing that God always helps me to sort of remember, like, be confident, be bold, but don't be cocky.
Right. And he reeled you back in.
Yeah.
He reeled you back in.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's good to, it's good to feel yourself. No problem with that. But know that you're here for him.
Right.
He's here to use you. I like the story of David and Goliath, right? That's a really big one with me and my family. It's that it wasn't, the person who fought the giant, it was who was in the person who fought the giant.
Right.
This little person obviously isn't going to knock down this big guy, but because he had God with him, because he had that faith, he was able to do that.
Yeah.
So just like with basketball or with anything else, it's with who is within you that enables you to fight that giant and to have the power and the strength to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man, it's crazy because I played in the church league as well, and then I've been playing basketball since I was 4, and then finally joined the church league around 9-ish. And then I finally played in middle school, and I made my middle school team. And that was it was completely different, but I actually felt comfortable within it. I was very comfortable because it was me and 2 other people, and we were like really good, I guess you could say. But I was comfortable. I was working out every day. I was confident for my middle school level. So then comes 8th grade year. Oh, we won a championship the first 7th grade year out of the years, and I was like, we did that, like, because we're new, But then 8th grade year is when high schools start to recruit middle schoolers to be on their team, and so recruits would come out, and I was the only person from my team that got recruited to Malley Creek High School's basketball team. So my older brother played basketball, so now he plays basketball at University of South Tampa. He's a senior, so shout out Jalen. But he didn't make so he was more dedicated in basketball than I was. Like, that was his life. And he didn't make it all 4 years of high school. Wow. So I come in being recruited by the coach, and I made freshman year basketball at Malley Creek High School. And I tell you, he was infuriated. He was mad. So I come in, and then I quit freshman year. I quit the team because they were so focused. So I guess it was one of those moments where, like, you had to be aggressive, you had to be cocky, you had to be like, you had to be this forceful thing, and they didn't really care for, okay, we have school, we have personal lives. It was basketball 24/7. And me, I was trying to find that balance coming in, being new, of finding my balance of what I really wanted to do. So yeah, when I quit the team, my brother, like I said, he was upset, but he didn't realize his purpose was greater than basketball. So I guess the story is about me, but it really is about him. But he didn't really understand that his purpose was greater than basketball. So my brother now, he has a film coming out November 23rd. We're going to the movie premiere in Florida. Yes.
Wow.
And yes, I'm so excited. I gotta get my hair done. I'm so excited. But so he didn't realize that, wait, I have more interest than basketball. I have more passions than basketball. And now it's acting and film and all this type of stuff. So I just think, God really does reel you back in and show you, like, hey, just because you like something doesn't mean it always aligns in with what is supposed to happen. Just because you're really good at something doesn't mean that this is what's for you right now in your moment, in your season. Right. So that was just like a reality check for him. For me, I guess, not realizing that I didn't want to do basketball anymore, and ended up playing tennis and so on. But
you play tennis now? I did too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to play tennis now. I have my racket. You have a racket?
Yeah, I have mine too.
Okay, we're gonna. But we're gonna play tennis. Okay, but so just knowing what season you're in and being aware that sometimes what you like doesn't always fit into your season, or something that you enjoy doing doesn't always fit into your season. So what experiences, any experience that you had that shaped you?
So I would kind of put my life in a two-part series. Because growing up, I am the oldest of 7 siblings. I'm the second oldest. Well, I call myself the oldest because I'm the oldest girl, and y'all know how that goes. So yeah, I was kind of like the oldest. But I do have an older brother, love him dearest. And you know, we grew up like this, and the rest of our younger siblings are, you know, kind of a lot younger than us. But my point with that was that so I grew up the oldest sister of 7 younger siblings, and you know, throughout all of my years until high school, I always kind of felt like I played the mommy role. I was always going above and beyond for my siblings, breaking my back to make sure they were okay. Sometimes, you know, even going out of my way to, if I wasn't good, still making sure that they were good. Growing up, we didn't have the stablest home. We moved a lot. My parents separated when we were younger. My dad, you know, suffered from addiction, so you know, he was kind of in and out of our lives a lot. So I, you know, just had that role, and you know, in high school I always felt like, okay, well, maybe this is my life. Maybe my life is to be, you know, that person, that rock for everyone. And I thought that's who Robynn is. Robynn is everyone's rock because she is stability, she is love, she's caring, and then she's going to make sure everyone around her is okay. And I became very codependent, and I became very much, oh, okay, all I want to do is make sure everyone's okay, instead of checking on what Robynn wants. And when I decided that I wanted to go to an HBCU, and that consisted of me having to leave California, leave my home, leave my nest, leave my siblings, my family, that was very hard for me. And then, you know, going to Atlanta, no family in Georgia, just being out there really by myself and having to create my own family there, I became codependent with the people around me. And it was just like, okay, is this still who Robynn is? Right. And so then that's when, you know, reality set in. And I tell people all the time, I feel like who I was when I was younger is only a memory now. I feel like my life started once I got to college. I became so aware of myself, of my surroundings, of people. I just became more intelligent. I gained so much more wisdom. And then, you know, sophomore year, kind of to speed things up, sophomore year is when I met the love of my life, Whitney Kane, and shouting him out, because, you know, we kind of went through a very traumatic event with each other, and I only bring this up because it very much shaped the person that I am today. He actually saved me in a fire that was in my dorm room when I was at Clark. Yeah, there was a grease fire in my room, and I had the pot, it was on fire, and then I was trying to put it out, and it flew up. He grabbed it from me, tried to take it out, and then it ended up, you know, getting on him, and he suffered from 3rd-degree burns, 25% of his body, having to get skin graft surgery. Yeah, but you know, I love him dearest for that. You know, yeah, he's my hero. He's my hero, and I remind him of that every single day. But after that, the reason why I said that, you know, kind of shaped me is, you know, I was very much, because that was my sophomore year, and I met him sophomore year. Everything kind of escalated very fast with him as well, with that whole situation. But you know, I decided that, you know, when he got out of the hospital, that I would take full responsibility of taking care of him. Yeah. And so, you know, we stayed together. You know, I was dressing his wounds, I was helping him to appointments, we were going through physical therapy together. Like, everything he went through, I was going through it with him. And I learned, what I would say is that, in a way, someone from the outside could look at that as, okay, she's still codependent. But for me, adding that into me being so much aware of myself and my people and intelligent and, you know, all the wisdom that I had gained, I learned that it's okay to be there for people in different seasons when they may need you, but also just being selfless. It's okay to be selfless, but you also still have to make sure that you're okay before you can help all these other different people. And so then now, you know, the Robynn that I am today, that's why I say I look at my life in two parts, because I always felt like I was just everyone's rock, but now I'm coming into my own. I am, you know, I'm evolving. I'm selfless. I'm caring. I'm loving. I'm growing every single day. And, you know, I will give the shirt off of my back if I need to, but I will also put my foot down when I need space and I need Robynn time. So yeah, I would definitely say that's my little two-part life.
Yeah, and I can totally see how that shaped you, because one, it puts you in a vulnerable position. It puts you in a vulnerable position for sure, because you basically let yourself down and say, okay, I'm gonna help, you know, I'm gonna be there. And like you said, still making sure you're good, but you took so much time out of your, how long was that for? Like, how long did you?
With the fire?
Yeah.
So the fire was on August 18th in 2019. He was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and then he was going to the hospital. We were really dealing with everything up until COVID. When COVID happened, we had to leave campus, so that's when he stopped going to appointments. By then, he really didn't need to go to them anymore. Right. But of course, you know, it's been, a year and a half later. I mean, he still goes through little minor things, but I mean, he's completely healed. And a lot of people who go through things like that, you know, they can't walk anymore. They have different problems from him, and he's perfectly great, handsome man, all of that. So God really blessed him in that. He blessed us in that whole situation.
And that's why I asked like how long it took, because like both of y'all took that much time to, you know, make sure the situation was good, but then you also learned something about yourself, that you can be vulnerable in the position, but also working on yourself. And then even for him, like, oh man, like this is something that's happening, but I helped her, so that's vulnerable for him to do in that situation. That's crazy. That's definitely an experience that shaped you. For sure. And I think that also just teaches you a lot about yourself and who you are. Like you said, the two-part of your life. Like now you know and you're aware of who Robynn is.
And it really does kind of show you when you do you look back on your life and how far you've grown. Honestly, it shows you that, you know, God pulled you out of this situation. Then you got into another one. Then he pulled you out of another one. And it just shows you you may be right now in another tough spot, but he's going to pull you out of this one the same way he did it 5 times last time.
Yeah.
And that's really why I love looking back on my life, because it's like, wow, like, remember where we were?
Right.
You know? So, yeah.
And now look. You know? And you're probably going to do that again.
Yeah, and again, and again,
and again. As many times as needed. Man. So, yeah, that just leads into, you know, like knowing who we are and knowing that self-love is important and self-care is important. Knowing that, you know, the skills that we have in different situations, the way that we apply them and apply ourselves in situations for other people and even for ourselves. And we already really touched on leadership skills at A&T. We talked about what it means to really encourage other people. So we're gonna go into the Q&A. We are. So one of the questions that was asked, so I don't really say like who asked them, because I never know like if they want to know like if they asked the question or not. But one of the questions, what is your passion? And I think we touched on it a little bit, but if you just want to give like a fast response answer type answer, what is your passion?
My passion, it's two things, and they're sort of interrelated, I guess. It's advocacy and education. Those are my two passions, just because being a lawyer and a judge, you're advocating for people, deciding where they end up, right? But also educating people so they know their rights and their laws, so they're not being taken advantage of as well.
Right. I would definitely say that my passion is also kind of two parts too. Community outreach, I think that's so important. I stress it so much. Really since honestly as a child, my family, my mother has always instilled that into us, especially like you said, in California, we have a very, very high homeless rate. So we have always done stuff like that. And then my other part is youth academic and social development, which is why I created my organization.
Love that. Another question someone asked, how do we all know each other? So we mentioned basketball, at the Park Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then Rob and I know each other because she's my Aggie Success Leader. So if you want to tell them what an Aggie Success Leader is.
So an Aggie Success Leader, that is, so basically I work with the new student programs, and basically we're known on campus as ASLs. Basically we do different programs and initiatives with the university for incoming freshmen and incoming seniors to kind of just help them have a smooth transition into the new environment, kind of show them around campus. We get mentees and they get mentors, and really just being that person for them, someone that they can confide in, someone that a familiar face on campus once they actually get on campus. And, for this example, that's how we know each other, and then she can reach out to me as a network. So,
anything.
So that's kind of
and also I wanted to mention, Madison's also my RA on the floor as well. So we live in the Villages at North Carolina A&T State University, and she's my RA, which is such a coincidence.
That is a coincidence.
That was a huge.
It really is.
Because I remember when we were moving in, my mom looked at the board. She was like, "Wait a minute," and we knew then. So everything happens for a reason. It does. It really does. So another question someone asks is, how important is confidence to you?
Confidence is very important.
Yeah, very
important. And I'll say that there's a difference with confidence and being cocky, and I sort of talked about that already, but confidence is very important. And just to sort of make it very clear, confidence is knowing your worth, knowing who you are, and not being afraid to express that. Cockiness, I guess, would say is knowing your worth and then exploiting it, making it seem like you have to rub it in everybody's face. When you're confident, when you know who you are, it shows.
You'll speak for you.
It shows, and you don't have to go around telling everybody what you do. You're confident in what you do. You're proud of what you are and what you do, and once again, it shows.
No, I honestly couldn't have said that better. But I would say, for me, confidence is, I think about confidence every day. I would definitely say that. As I'm coming into who I am and what I'm supposed to do and my purpose in this world, confidence is honestly something that I can say that I think about every day. When I'm walking through campus, I will have thoughts in my head like, are you walking confidently enough? Or if I'm, even doing this podcast, are you talking confidently enough? Because I want to stress to myself that and not even in a cocky way, but do you know who you are? Do you know how far Robyn has come? You deserve to be here. You deserve to speak. You deserve to be listened to. You deserve to walk proudly. You deserve so much. You should act like it, and know that respectfully and peacefully and gracefully. So it's something I think about a lot. It's something that I struggle with still, just because sometimes you get in your head and you worry too much about what people think, and that's normal. It's what humans do. But just remember that you deserve the world, and I know that sounds cliche, but you really do.
True.
You really do.
It's true.
And so to act like it.
Like you said, as humans, it is normal to always think about, oh, is this person watching me, or are they talking about me, or just little things that to get into your head. But confidence is so important, and I think even for me, I'm gonna keep it short. But even though for me, growing up, it was. That was Sierra. Sierra was confident. Sierra was always in the front. And that's still who I embody till this day. But again, you always have those moments am I sure? I don't really know. But, someone once told me, why not you? Why not?
Literally.
Ask yourself, why not? And like you said, think about how far you come. You deserve anything you want. So I think that, confidence is so important. That leads into another question someone asked about the importance of balance. Knowing, I guess when I think of importance of balance, they're thinking maybe work, student, social, that, I guess, or even balance within yourself, me time versus other people's time, or just how important is balance in your life? We're still balancing.
Yeah, I was gonna say we are still balancing and learning how to balance. And you know, with different, especially as college students, trying to balance. Like, I mean, I really can only speak for myself. Trying to balance, you know, my academic life, outside of academics, going into my profession, trying to balance that with the weekends, trying to balance, even, social life, long distance relationships, all of those different things. It's not really, I don't really like the word balancing, because it's not, I don't really feel like I'm balancing, but more so prioritizing.
Yeah.
I prioritize, what's more important for my life, what's more important in the moment. Because like I said, I live with intent. So I try to prioritize things, because sometimes I may hone in on things that may not be as important as the other one.
Right.
So I would say I just try to prioritize my life. And only you can make that schedule, because you pick your priorities. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I like that you said you didn't like the word balance, because I was going to sort of tweak that
Yeah.
too. I recently read a book. It's called Unapologetically Ambitious, so go read it.
I love to read it.
Yes,
Sure will.
It's by Shelley Archambault. She's a Black tech entrepreneur and a CEO, so she's a boss. And she talked about how people would ask her questions about how do you balance everything, being a CEO and still making time for your family. She says, I don't balance my life, I integrate it.
Yeah.
She said she has work-life integration rather than work-life balance.
Makes sense.
Which talks about how she likes to exercise, but when she became the CEO at a really young age, she found herself trying to balance and trying to do one thing over here and one thing over here when she was able to integrate it. When she talked about networking and finding different people she could talk to escalate up the chain, she talked about how she would talk to certain people, certain executives, they wouldn't be available for a meeting, so she would say, hey, let's go to yoga together. And that was their way of connecting, and then it became a monthly thing. And she integrated both her work and her life so that she still did something that was enjoyable and it was self-care, but it benefited her. So that's one thing that I really think is important is work-life integration rather than work-life balance, because you can still find ways to enjoy your education, enjoy what you do, while also finding benefits for your career as well.
Right.
Definitely.
And that leads into another question. If someone asks, what are your personal goals for the remainder of the year? Me personally, honestly, me personally is to take it one day at a time. Like I said, it's only been we're in November, so August, September, October, November. It's been 4 months, and we'll be leaving up till January, till the spring semester. So taking it one day at a time, because I learned so much about myself within 4 months. So just applying that when I go back home and things like that. So taking it one day at a time is my goal for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, I would definitely say to finish out this EKG training so that I don't have to keep driving to an hour away every Saturday. Really to finish the semester strong and to graduate, y'all. That's it. That's the only goal, is to graduate. Just how to figure that out.
A personal goal for me is to solidify my boundaries. That's a big thing. That was the overarching goal for me, was to set boundaries, but now it's to solidify them, because I set them and then now I'm finding that some of them are not as solidified as I would want them to be. Just staying up late, as once again I'm an RA, and we like to have a good time. We like to sit at the desk and just sort of talk, and the hours go by really fast here. I don't know if it's just me, but it just goes by really fast, and next thing you know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're just sitting at the desk. And I didn't like that. It started to get eye bags. Don't look.
No.
I just don't like that. Freshman Maddie was very, not baggy.
Yeah.
So I really didn't like that. I just allowed myself to stay up
And let time go.
Yeah, just let time go. So now I have a boundary. Get in the bed at 10:30 at the latest. That's my goal, and it's all about, once again, prioritizing the things that you want to do, the things that you have time for, and acknowledging what you don't have time for.
Yeah.
So just setting boundaries.
And that leads into the, there's two questions, and it was specifically for seniors, so it was for you.
Okay.
It says, what's the stress level of being a senior, and how has it affected your mental health? And then the second part of that was, what's some advice you give other seniors at this time?
Okay, so I would definitely say that the stresses of being a senior, of course, the two things that you're really battling with is, of course, you know, wanting to get out of here. You know, you've done the 4 years. It's like high school. You know, you get senioritis. You're ready to go. You're ready to start your life, start your profession. You know, even start your family for some people. And you know, there's another part of you that's like, you know, there's a little bit of fear. It's like, okay, well, you know, you have the comfort of, okay, well, I'm in college, and you know, I'm learning. I'm still, you know, taking things in. And it's kind of like, it's a little scary when you're going to transition into the real world, really paying rent, really paying your car note, really taking on all of your phone bill, starting your family, you know, worrying about other people, things around you, and you don't have the university to kind of coddle you, I guess. So those are, I would say that's kind of the stresses. You're kind of battling with those two things. And because usually by senior year, you should know what you want to do, and that's kind of a stressor if you don't. And I would definitely say that the way that I kind of manage my stress is I try to keep myself acclimated in things that bring me joy, things that bring me peace. And you know, sometimes that's painting, sometimes that's sleeping, taking naps, sometimes sometimes it's hanging out with my dog or going on trips. I love going on trips. Like, I'm treating myself to 3 weeks in Europe in a month actually.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
trip.
So yeah, so it's really just finding that escape. And a healthy escape. I will exaggerate that part.
Healthy.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so yeah, I don't know if I answered.
About how.
Oh, and the advice. I would definitely say that the advice that I would give, if you're already a senior, it's kind of hard to give advice other than, you know, just stay the course. You're almost done. And I'm proud of you. You know, you made it this far. Just keep going, and you know, don't look at it as, you know, I'm letting go of, you know, what's been keeping me. But you know, you're going into this new journey of your life and into real adulthood. So congratulations. You know, not a lot of people can say that.
Love that. And for Madison, there are two parts. So one person, this is like a topic they wanted you to talk about. Why has being, this is how I literally wrote it, how they wrote it, how they typed it. Why has being unapologetically Black just recently became so popular? They wanted you to talk about, like, what do you think it's became recently so popular? And then the second part, just what some advice would you give yourself back in high school? Since you're a sophomore, so you know, now you're fresh out of high school, and you're like, basically. So
I'll talk about the unapologetically Black one. I think now we're in a time where advocating for who you are, your identity as African Americans, as a Black person, it's becoming more and more prominent and more serious now, just because of all the riots, all of the protesting that's been going on, all the acts of injustice that have been going on, police brutality, etc. It's become increasingly important to step up and advocate for yourself and to be heard. However, I would say to that, just to remember that your identity isn't in your race. Your identity is in your calling from God. I will say that because I had to do some soul searching with that to figure out, okay, am I called to, I'm a child of God. God called me to be Black, right? He made me this way. However, my first priority and my first duty is to Him and to live out my purpose through Him. However, I am a Black woman. I'm going to stand up for that. However, I do that in a way that honors God.
right.
For the second one, advice to my high school self. High school Maddie. I would say, just do it, Nike. No. I would just say, go try that thing. Go sign up for that thing. Don't be afraid to say what's on your mind. And do it confidently. When you do something and you look a little shaky, it's like, okay.
Did you know she's doing?
Right. No, go do it. Do it confidently, even if it's wrong as ever. Do it confidently. Just go do it.
Yeah.
So just to wrap things up, two fun questions. If someone asks, how many siblings do you have? You answer this. You're on the
6.
second, and then you're the 7th.
I'm the second.
No, you said 7, right?
Wait, no, I have 6 siblings.
Got it.
There's 7 of us in total. I'm
Right.
the second oldest, so oldest girl.
Got it.
Okay.
And then how many siblings do you have?
I have one sibling. I have a brother.
Yes.
Harrison.
And then what is your go-to song and movie? I can't answer this because I listen to a lot of songs.
I probably
Right.
wouldn't
A lot of
say
music.
go-to movie because I don't really watch movies like that. I'm definitely a TV show kind of person.
Okay.
My go-to TV show is Insecure.
Okay.
Issa Rae, please
Right.
go look into her. And I would say, wait, what's the first question?
Your go-to song or movie, but
Oh.
so song.
My song,
It's like his favorite song or artist.
Party Next Door. My artist is Party Next Door. I was gonna say I don't have.
I've
that
never
one song.
heard someone say Party Next Door was their favorite
Oh yeah,
artist.
that's my favorite artist, and
Wow.
anybody who knows me, I've been saying that since high school.
Wow.
That's my favorite artist forever.
For me, my favorite song, and it's recent too. My friend Brandon, he's an RA too. He showed me this song. It's called "Encourage Yourself." I think it's by. I don't know who it's by. But it's
Shazam
called
it.
right. It's called "Encourage Yourself," and it rings true to me because sometimes walking around here, just always have to remind yourself of confidence. You have to encourage yourself. Like, you cannot rely on other people to encourage you. You have to know how to encourage you.
Yourself.
And that song really helps to remind me of that. Just going to class every day, just walking outside every day, it helps me with that. Go-to movie, I don't really watch TV like that, but when I did over the summer, I just got looped into Law and Order. So
that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies, so much for being a guest. I really appreciate it. It means the world. It really does. Just to have that representation in this conversation for people listening, because there are a lot of high school girls that actually listen to it, and freshmen like me. So I think it's so important just to hear like a relatable point of view in whatever your takeaway was. So thank you both so much, and thank you all for watching and listening to the 10th episode of the DLF podcast with Sierra Janelle. If you haven't already listened to the previous episodes, go ahead and do that and catch up, and hopefully you made it to the end of this one. You can follow at Dreams of Faith podcast on all platforms. If you guys want to put your Instagram.
You guys can go ahead and follow me. Mine is Robynn Harrison. Robynn is ROBYNN, and then Harrison, no O, put a V instead.
Okay, and mine is Madison Long, so, oh gosh. Okay, so it's Madison, and then after the N, it's 2 more N's, and then Long, Long, with 2 G's. So yeah.
I'll try to put it in the description.
That might be easier.
I'm gonna put a link in the
Yeah.
description. I'm getting better at that. But thank you all so much for listening to the DLF podcast. Continue to love and live without limits. Walk by faith and not by fear. Until next time, I'll see you next episode. Bye.